When I first came to America at the age of 20, I was mesmerized by a few things. One of them was how the Americans were so open about their success. They weren't afraid to show it. That was a striking difference from Russia, where I came from people of Russia. The Russians always hid their success, you know. That was a phenomena that got me very interested because I liked when people showed their success rather than hid it. I started digging deeper and learned quite a few things. And what I learned 20 years ago helps me to understand why Russians are so angry, aggressive, and violent today. And, if you come to Russia these days, you will find people very different from even how they were, a couple years ago. They are much more aggressive. They are snappy. They use obscene language much more. They are more depressed. And why is that so? And this is exactly what I would like to talk about today in this stream. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and welcome to Inside Russia, where I give you important news updates that explain what's happening in Russia. What you will not find on this channel is BS, propaganda, and lies. What you will find is truth, common sense, and logic, and emotions, because I am a human being. Inside Russia is where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. For about 30 minutes or so, I give you my daily messages, and then invite everyone to carry on into live streams to converse, where I answer questions, and I like that very much. So thank you so very much for coming. Let's talk about the Russians. That's the topic of my discussion today, my message. Before I start, there's a disclaimer. First, everything I'm about to say is my opinion and my opinion only. I might be wrong on things, but this is what I think, taking into consideration my knowledge, experience, and my character. Second, there are over 140 million Russians, and I am not saying that all 140 million are absolutely same. They are all different. They are the ones who are angry, they are the ones who are happy, ones who support the war, who don't support the war, all different, Third, my opinions are based on what I see around me, what I hear around me, and my conversations with the Russian people of all kinds. And remember, what I'm about to say is just my humble opinion. So let's jump right into it. This stream was actually inspired by one of the questions from yesterday's super chats, from yesterday's stream. There was a question, something like, Konstantin, why are the Russians so rude and violent and use obscene language to each other these days? Something like that. And that's not really a simple question. Let's dig a little deep. Well, a lot deep. Let's dig deep. What makes a happy person? What do you think? I think that good life. Good life equals happiness. And what is good life? Well, first of all, it's adequate material possessions. You have to have food on your table every day for yourself and your family, a roof over your head, something to live in, dry and warm. Security, you must know that you are protected at all times and no one will take and kill you or harm you or your family. Income, you must know that you are able to provide for your family on a regular basis. And stability, you must understand that your life is somewhat stable. What you're doing right now is going to, carry on for some time. These are very basic things, and they're applied to everyone, anywhere in the world, regardless where you live, regardless what is your country. Now, let's take a look on how to achieve these things. First of all, I'll be comparing Russia and America because these are two countries that I know well. Russia is what I'm talking about in my channel and my videos and live streams, and America is for the comparison's sake. If you'd like to pitch some information about your country, how it's organized in your parts of the woods, we'd like to hear that in the live stream chat. So, how to achieve happiness in America? The way America is designed and built, it has equal opportunities for everyone. Everyone has equal rights. No one is above the law. There's democracy. People are in control. We are the people concept. Government involvement into people's lives is minimal to some extent. And there's free market economy. To achieve success, you have to work hard, to play by the rules, to be honest, and be smart. And that basically guarantees you that you're going to be doing all right in America. You become rich, hey, it is something to be very proud about because it means that you worked harder and smarter than everyone else. You get a high paying job, it means that you create great value to the company because no one's going to give you a high paying job just for the sake of you being a nice guy or a girl. It's an honest way. You provide, the more value you provide, the more money you make. So when you reach success in this society in America, you buy yourself things that you like, a big house, expensive car, and you show the world, hey, I achieved that honestly because I worked hard and smart. Everything is up to you in America, right? Only God is above you, but there's not one person who's above you. Not from the government. There's no kings, no presidents who are above you. You are it. You are, the major person in the country, so to speak. Russia is a little different. For the past 400 years, Russian society was split into two parts: the serfs and the nobles. Well, basically the slaves and the slave owners. I talked about how Russia was organized in the previous streams. It's the Tsar on the very top, his army and his police to oppress everyone who is on the bottom, the church that supports him, his inner circle, friends, family, and the nobles, the slave owners. And the very, very bottom, people. People have no rights. They never had rights in Russia. They could not choose a czar because, hey, the czar the power was inherited in Russia for hundreds and hundreds of years. So no freedoms, oppression, and basically this is how people lived for hundreds of years. They were slaves for hundreds of years. In those years, the only people who could show their success were the oppressors of the highest level. No one else could show success. No one else could show happiness because they simply could not get success because, they were not on the top. And the USSR was no different. Social classes, the Communist Party with the nobles and everyone else with the serfs, basically. Just same social classes, but different names, really. And people also, if they had somewhat of a success, they hid it. Back before the USSR, of course, you could get money, you could inherit money or whatever, you could steal money, but you could accumulate some money, you could even do business, but people hid it, always hid it, because they were oppressors above them who could come down and take their money without asking, basically. And, the people had no rights. So they hid the money. They hid the success. They hid everything they had. In the USSR, the same thing. Some people accumulated, money. Some people became richer than the others, very few. But they did it in a very illegal way. They could either steal or from people or from the government. From the people, hardcore criminals, robbers and thieves. And from the government, I'll just give you an example. Everyone who was in a production of sausage, regular sausage in Russia, was very wealthy man or woman, because everyone in the production of sausage stole. That was pretty much the norm. People were stealing lots. For example, they use a little less meat. They use a little more toilet paper. They used to put toilet paper into a sausage in Russia, like pulp, that type of thing. And they, over time, they accumulate tons of money, but they cannot show, they cannot buy anything because the KGB would show up and say, "Hey, where'd you get the money? Your salary is like, 120 rubles per month. And how do you have 50,000 rubles? Where'd you get it from?" Things like that. So they always hid it. And that was the culture of hiding your success. You could not achieve anything and show and be proud about it. Okay? And it worked like that in Russia for, again, hundreds of years. But, again, people were always hiding things. You couldn't really hide anything from the government, but they were trying. If you have somewhat a nicer house than others, you would hide it between the walls, high walls, and things like that. So there was a short period in Russia's recent history, 17 years, from 1991 to 2008. In my opinion, the best years Russia had. The philosophy kind of changed. It was geared a little bit towards American philosophy. If you worked hard in Russia in those years, you could achieve anything you wanted. Well, at least you had chances of achieving anything you want, because the government was basically nullified with no power, very little power left. KGB was stripped of power, police was stripped of power, and basically people were given power. Okay, that's the American way. The government could not neither control nor oppress people in those years. Vladimir Putin came into power in 2000 and everything changed, of course. The vertical of power was born. Again, in my previous streams, I talked about it extensively, so if you want, go ahead and check it out. The vertical of power. And after a brief break, Russia returned to normal. Basically, Russia was split, and it's split now into two classes, social classes, the nobles and the serfs. I cannot say the slave owners right now, because regular Russians are not slaves in a way. At least they enjoy some basic, some basic level of freedoms, like freedom to leave the country. They still can do that, Freedom to either have a job or not have a job. The freedoms they did not enjoy in the USSR. So I cannot say they're slaves, but they're definitely serfs. The nobles are the government. Everyone who is connected with the government, works for the government, and is a part of a government. Basically, the nobles are the controlling class. We're back to the basics, So, businessmen from the 90s and from, the golden years, 2000 through 2008, they basically are very few left. They either went bankrupt or left Russia or put into prisons. Why? Because government does not like businessmen. Businessmen are independent. Businessmen think critically. Businessmen travel outside Russia. They can compare things. They're not needed in Russia, okay? So it's back to the society where middle class is almost gone, and it's either the upper class, the government. In the USSR was the Communist Party and whoever was close to the Communist Party. And of course, the power agencies, the ones who have all the power, the KGB, the police, the army, they're up there. And everyone else, all Russian citizens who are on the bottom. So very simple, two classes. Now, that's just so you understand where Russia is currently standing and what Russian philosophy has been for hundreds of years. You can't really shake it off that easily in 17 years. It takes, I think, generations, a few generations. So Russia did not enjoy that luxury of a few generations changing and becoming free man, unfortunately. But if you go to Russia now, like I said in the beginning of the stream, you will find a very strange and very disturbing situation. Lots of Russians are angry. Lots of Russians aggressive, violent. Not saying all, but the majority. If you go to Moscow right now, the sense in the city is absolutely different. Even when I was leaving Russia in September of last year, it was already different. I could smell it in the air. Same in Rostov. You can see it everywhere. People are snappy. People are tense. People are angry. They are ready to snap at any time. They're stressful. You can see that stress oozing from them. And it's become worse since I left. My relatives, my mom, Natasha, keeps on telling me because they've seen more Russia than I do now. And I think that's all for very simple reason. Russians, again, please understand, Russians weren't the happiest campers in the past, far from it, but they were okay. They were okay. There was some kind of life that they enjoyed before the war with Ukraine happened. And yet, right now, there's such a drastic change. Many Russians right now start waking up. Let's say the people who are more intelligent and less intelligent. I don't want to insult anyone, but that's life. Some people are a little smarter than some are slower, and the smarter ones, they have realized that they simply have been lied to. It's really easy to realize that when you start putting twos and twos together, okay? You start asking yourself question, hey, why aren't they telling us the numbers of the fallen Russian soldiers? Wait a second, why aren't they doing that? What happened to 200 soldiers, 200,000, 100, there was 120,000 soldiers that initially came to Ukraine, then add to that 350,000 soldiers who went to Ukraine after being mobilized in September and October and November of 2022. And now they're mobilizing another 400,000 soldiers and then sending them to Ukraine. What happened to those soldiers that already are in Ukraine? Okay? When you start asking these questions about everything, if you have a little bit of brain in your head, if you can think critically a little bit, at least, the answers are shocking and scary. And I think that what has happened to people, they start understanding. They start understanding that they have lost so much. They have been lied to. The government lies to them, keeps on lying every single day. The government has no interest in making their lives better in any way. Okay, the government has interest in increasing its own power, its own grab on people. They understand that there is so much control over them right now that it's most likely be impossible to shake it off in the future. They understand that they have no future. The future has been stolen from them. They understand that their children have no future. And then I think the smarter ones understand that they're becoming the slaves again fast. And even those who are a little bit slower and don't think that fast, they perhaps they don't understand the details, but they sense things. They see what's happening to the economy right now. They see what happens in Ukraine, and they see that 2 and 2 doesn't add to 4. They see that they feel there's something up in the air, and that's not something good. They smell something in the air, and that's a bad smell. And this is what's happening. And I think all understand now that they aren't the masters of their lives. They understand that they cannot control their lives. Let alone the government, and forget about the government. They can't control their lives. They live in fear. They live in fear of constant fear of losing their jobs, losing their incomes. Perhaps many have already lost. They live in fear of mobilization. They live in fear of losing the war and start paying reparations to Ukrainians. And they know that it'll happen, okay? They get angry. They get depressed. You know what? According to the statistics, the anti-depression pills, medicine sales skyrocketed in the last few months, like in the last, basically since February 2022. The makers of anti-depression pills making tons of money now. Why? Because people are trying to, put a little more colors into their lives with medicine now. You know that people in Russia started drinking so much more. The sales of hard liquor, vodka basically, have skyrocketed. Why? Because they started drinking more. They're trying to forget this reality. Anywhere you go, you will find aggression, at least higher levels of aggression than before. You will find unfriendliness, you will find depression. People snap at you, people snap at the stores, people ready to rat you out, people ready to denounce you, call cops on you. Not good. And now I am mostly talking about people of the lower social class, the serfs, There's also social class that is the upper, the government. And those people aren't happy either, because they are even unhappier than the people on the bottom. Because for one simple reason, they know exactly what has happened. They know exactly what will happen in the future. They know exactly what they're about to lose. They know exactly that they're going to be called to answer for their deeds, for their actions in the last, 14, 15 months. You see, these people, they do not show their success. But if you accumulate wealth, okay, you want to show it somehow. And in the past, how did they show it? They moved their money out of Russia. They moved their, wealth. They bought real estate. They bought citizenships. They had bank accounts, and they had great life for themselves and their families outside Russia. They could do that. And they were showing their success because they were allowed there to. No one knew where the money was coming from. But now they have lost this ability. They cannot transfer money. At least it's become much more expensive and much more dangerous. They cannot do that any longer, at least easily. And they know that soon the government in Russia will be completely, I can't even say changed, but it's going to be purged. And they are part of the government, and they're going to be purged too. Most likely, they will be lustrated. Most likely, they will be evaluated, judged, and some of them most likely will be put to prisons, sentenced to the crimes they have committed. Okay? And that is not making them happy at all. They are very angry. Their families are very angry. They also snap. They also drink. They also abuse drugs. They also try to, somehow, did I say drink a lot? I'll double that. I'll say it again. They drink a lot. All in all, this picture I have drawn for you, imagine living in it right now. Imagine how you feel when you know that you have no control. That you know that most likely you will not have a chance to get up from your knees and, stand tall and, make yourself and your family a good life. When you know that you have lost so much, when you know that changes are coming, but they're not going to be changes for the good. I think many have realized that this is the price to pay for the Russia's actions in Ukraine, okay? And the ones who haven't realized, they're just simply generally angry at the government, angry at themselves, and angry at other Russians. They show it, they act it. This is why there's so much aggression. There is so much violence right now. There is so much fear. And this is basically not very pleasant environment to be living in. Well, folks, this has been my message for today. Thank you so much. Hope you understood a little more about today's Russia from my words. I would be glad to answer your questions if you have any in the live stream chat, so please carry on and go ahead and ask the questions. Please comment how things are organized in your parts of the woods. I know many of you from Europe, some from Australia. From what I understand, Australia is a lot like the USA and Canada. And then most, of course, are from the USA and Canada. So, turning on the live stream chat right now. Let's do it. Hasn't been easy message to deliver, so I tried my best to simplify it as much as I could. So howdy everyone. The first ones are Lorna and Mommy, of course. And thank you mods for coming. Black Cat, Bob S, Harry Potter, Amir, Mommy, Lorna. And the usual suspects. Thank you so much. Dirk, you are quick. Thank you for coming. Again, thank you for giving me a message. Fantastic to see everyone. If you want me to notice your message easier, please put it in caps and put inside Russia after that sign so it is highlighted in orange. Thank you. The first question from Koshkin Dom. Russia is a huge country. Could you say something about differences between the Russians from different parts of Russia? Cities, countryside, east, west, north, south. Mm, I could try. The only difference I would say is Russians from the cities, Russians from the countryside. East West is no different. North South, no different. Um, Even in the breakfast club, every morning we get together people from all over Russia, from Magadan, from St. Petersburg, from Moscow, from Rostov, from Novosibirsk, Perm. No difference. Not even accents. Accents are so slight, we don't even notice them. Um, from the villages, countryside, and the cities, yes, there's a difference. The village people, small town people, they have more fear, they have harder lives, they have fewer opportunities. They know much less about how government works. They believe the government much more, and they are brainwashed much easier than the folks from the big cities. And they don't ever protest. They don't say anything. They're so obedient, docile. You know, police comes and grabs every single man from village, from a small town. No one says a word. Okay, the big cities, people are, well, they know more. They know more about how Russia works, I would say. Um, that's the difference. Thank you. Hopefully I answered your question. Why Kaliskin? Thank you from, good evening from Tashkent to Chicago. Theodore from Scotland. And Jason Carney, thank you so much for your huge support again. I appreciate it. Fantastic to see you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. White Lightning, howdy. How much has the crime rate increased? Are the stats published? Are they trustworthy? I think I've seen the stats on car theft. It has increased tremendously. They steal cars right now, not just to resell them, but to take them apart for spare parts. Makes sense, okay? I'm not justified. I'm not, I'm not, how to say that? I'm not saying it's right, but, I understand the economic reason behind it. That's what they do now. It's much easier to disassemble the car and sell the spare parts than try to, you know, resell the stolen car and so forth. I made one of the videos called "What's in Meanwhile in Russia," where I give the statistics on sales of security cameras. In some Russian cities, the sales have gone up by 400%, and this is for a reason, okay? Because people from ЧВК Wagner coming back home, and freshly released from prison, so to speak. And guess what they do? They do the best they know, they break the law again. They murder, they steal, they rape, they child molest children, they cannibals, they eat people, things like that, Welcome to ЧВК Wagner world. A lot of people, soldiers that come back from the war, that have come back from the war alive, they are disabled. This, hands, legs are missing, things like that. They're angry. They have guns illegally, of course. They bring, because it's illegal to own. You cannot own a gun legally in Russia. So, but a lot of people own guns now. Okay, so the law-abiding people cannot protect themselves, and then of course people, the criminals, the crazy ones, they have the guns. And this is what has happened to the crime rate. It has skyrocketed. I have not seen the official data. They hide it. I will not see the official data because they don't want to disturb people. They're saying everything is fine. Everything is going according to the plan. Marv 2324, great talk. I know it wasn't easy. It was very difficult. Very difficult. Thank you. I just wanted to deliver the good news that Ukraine is officially getting F-16s. Wow, when did that happen? I didn't see in any news today, but it seems the war may be over more than quickly than expected. Send in love. Thank you so much. Good news indeed. I tell you what, I was talking to a friend of mine a couple days ago, yesterday, and remember that 6 supersonic rockets, Kinzhals, they were fired at Kiev and they were all shut down by the Patriot systems. And one of them supposedly damaged the Patriot system. In Russian news, it was like this: rejoice, rejoice, victory. We finally reached the victory. One of the Kinzhals destroyed the American Patriot system. Literally, that's how they were saying, okay? And then my friend told me that they did not really destroy. They just they shot a Kinzhal and the debris was falling down and it scratched one part of the Patriot. And when I learned that, there was a pretty clear picture formed in my head that it's going to be over soon. Because with Patriot systems, a 40-year-old technology coming from the USA, Russians cannot penetrate with their brand new technology. Okay, this is the end of the war. It's just a matter of time. Planes coming, perhaps it's just going to be quicker. That's all. So thank you. Dan Caldwell from Canada, thank you for the insightful message today. Explaining the past helps me make the present understandable. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Brian Woods, speaking of former prisoners, can they get normal jobs? How well are they integrated back into mainstream society? Brian, speaking of former prisoners, if you talk about like regular prisoners who did their time and come back, yes, more or less, they can get normal jobs. Not the best jobs in the world, but at least something to provide and, pay the bills and feed your family or feed yourself. But if you're talking about Wagner people, of course not, because those are hardcore criminals. Prigozhin picked the biggest and the craziest criminals, rapists, child molesters, cannibals. There were cannibals about them, for goodness sake. Murderers. And the promise that they were given, hey, we release you from prison, you go and fight in Ukraine, and if you last for 6 months, you're free men. And then you know what? Some of them, there's a statistics, I think like 5,000 people, they returned and they were pardoned. Against all the laws that exist in the Russian Federation, they were pardoned. And guess what? There are news reports appear every day that the murderers, they came back to the village that, they're from, or a town they're from. They came back to live with the parents or in their apartments, and they killed someone next door again. The same crime repeated. There have been numerous reports like that. So they going back, they're arrested again and going back to prisons again. This is how they integrate into the society. They simply cannot integrate. The minds are not cut to integrate. So hopefully I answered your question. Davis Gikings, love your streams, thank you. Do you consider Baltic Russians Russian? If so, why they are so aggressive? Love from I'm sorry, LV, is it Latvia? Um, Great question. I have some friends from the Baltic States. Well, first of all, I have some family living in the Baltic States. It's a long story. The history goes back to my dad's relatives. Basically, the entire family of my grandfather was killed by the communists, I was going to say by the Nazis, no, by the Bolsheviks, for one simple reason. The family was well-to-do. They lived in a village. They had a few fields of wheat, and they had mill, and they had a little store right at the mill. So they were okay. There was a big family of 6 sons, perhaps daughters and sons, but 6 children and parents. So communists came and they just basically killed all except for my grandfather and one other member of a family. My grandfather ran and he escaped basically, and another member of family was not put in prison but deported, and he was moved to Lithuania, to Klaipėda. And I have distant relatives living in Klaipėda. They lived there all their lives, from the 30s, I guess, something like, or perhaps he was imprisoned and then later sent to the Baltic States. And then I've been to Lithuania. I've been to Klaipėda, a fantastic place. I liked it very much. And I had good friends from Lithuania and from Estonia back in the United States, in Old Orchard Beach. Good people. I actually haven't seen really bad people. Like, all countries have good people in general. We hang out a lot. We partied a lot. We drank lots of vodka when we were young. Then I met one person, a few friends, a company in Egypt on vacation. I was having vacation in the city of Hurghada, and they were also having a vacation. That hotel was popular with Eastern Europeans, the Polish, and the people from the Baltics. I don't really remember. Was it Latvia or Lithuania? Anyway, there was Russian people, Russian guys of my age, 30s, and perhaps a little younger, and they spoke with very strange accent, but they spoke perfect Russian, the same language. And their mentality was a little different. And we talked a lot, and basically we got along fine. And they were so sad. They said, you know what? There's a problem with us. We're not considered the locals because we're Russians and we speak Russian. But when we come to Russia, we're not considered Russians. We're considered, I forgot, either Lithuanians or Estonians or Latvians. And they said, we have no home because they don't accept us anywhere. I personally consider Baltic Russians the citizens of the countries where they live at. Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. People speak Russian language, and most likely they speak second language as well. They have Russian culture. It's the same thing as in Russia. I mean, if you go to Dagestan, people speak first language, not Russian. Russian is like their second language. And if you go to other republics, that you will find the same thing. You will not find. You will find ethnic Russians there, and you will find the locals. Okay, so kind of the same thing. I don't make much of a difference between the Baltic Russians and the rest of Russians. We're really the same. It doesn't really matter where we live. RW, howdy. I replied to what do you think of Putin on 1420. was I don't like him, but I would like to be him. Huh? It seems like some live through him and escape from their hard lives through watching Putin. Was he a movie star? Um, I did not understand the question. I'm sorry. The reply to what do you think on Putin on 1420 was I don't like him, but I would like to be him. It seems like some live through him and escape their hard lives through watching Putin. You know what? That is a very, very strange answer in my mind. If you want to live your life through someone else's life, well, live it through Michael Jordan's life. Or, I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger's life. Or Stephen King's life. Why would you want to be Vladimir Putin, or why would you want to live through his life? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Vladimir Putin is not a happy man. He's very lonely. He knows he is a major fudged up. He knows that he's going to either die soon or gonna be held responsible what he's done. He knows he has no friends, just enemies, and even the people around him who call him friends, they're not his friends. His life is so miserable. I mean, he celebrated Christmas, last Christmas, by himself. Despite being the president of Russia, despite us being almighty Putin, by himself. Why would you want to be him? My gosh. You see, this is the crazy Russian mentality. Why do you want to be the tyrant? Be a businessman. Create something, and you don't have to. It doesn't have to be in your fantasy. You have hands. You have your head. Create something and create a product. Sell it. Make people's lives better. Make money. Live, become rich, live nice life. Why would you want to be Putin? That's the last person who I personally want to be. Loudmouth Rudy, howdy, howdy. Let's face it, here is in the West, we have stupid people as well. Everywhere. I mean, some people are smarter, some people not that smart, This is life. It doesn't matter if it's the West or the East. Misplaced anger is the first attempt of stupid people to deal with complicated issues. Rudy, it's really hard to disagree with you. KWNY Upstate, when the cannibals are reintegrated into society, does that just mean they're given a brand new fork and knife? Well, you get the idea. I think you answered your question yourself. Thank you. I personally would be terrified living right next to a can, knowing that the person came back from Wagner. It's, ugh. Amir, well, who knows, but there was pretty insane stories about the toilet paper. There were rumors that in Soviet sausage there was more toilet paper than anything else, so people were basically eating toilet paper, and there were also rumors like they arrested and charged the CEO or the general director of a local Russian Rostov sausage plant, and when they came into his apartment, they found that instead of wallpaper, he actually put $100 bill equivalents, 100 rubles. Like an average Soviet person was making like about 120 rubles per month. So that's 120 was monthly salary. And then he had 100 ruble bills instead of wallpapers all around his apartment, in the bathroom, everywhere. because he simply had so much money. He could not show the money. He could not buy flashy things. He could not do anything with them. So he was using them as a wallpaper, you know. And I think that was not a rumor. That was a true situation. This mic. How must it feel when Western companies leave your country, your economy? The last Western corporation leaving Russia will be the one producing daily use products. Well, let me tell you how it feels, or how it felt, rather. On the 24th of February 2022, I was sitting, and the first thing I did, I had tears in my eyes. I was absolutely shocked, and I made a video. And the video, I opened it yesterday. It's out there, and there's a link to the video. Anyone can see it now. I'm probably not gonna leave it for a long time. I'm gonna take it down. Very emotional, very raw, and basically that's what I'm all about. I recorded how I was feeling. I did not have a script. I didn't even think about what I was gonna say in that video. I just sat in front of the camera. I pressed the record button and I started filming. And the very same day, it was absolutely crystal clear to me that what was coming for Russia. And I foresaw the sanctions. I foresaw Western companies leaving because it's just obvious. I know how the West works. Most Russians turned out that they don't. Hang on one second. So I was expecting, and it even happened then faster than I expected. The first one to leave was IKEA on March 2nd, so 8 days after the invasion, and then Apple followed, and then McDonald's. And then the slew of the companies started leaving. At first, Russians were saying something like, they will never leave. Oh, come on, they're just trying to scare us because all they care is buck. And then IKEA did not try to scare anyone. IKEA announced, it was very crystal clear message, straightforward. We will close all our stores tomorrow. And they did. And the Russian politicians and the Russians were like, what? Well, they must be closing for a couple weeks. They will come back. We will think twice before letting them open. And I was thinking, you must be absolutely insane, if you're saying that. Then it was confusing to everyone. What are we going to do? And then Russian politicians started screaming, oh, that's so great that they're leaving. Let them go. Because our markets will open up for our local manufacturers. Finally, the manufacturers will not have competition, and therefore they will be producing everything of high quality left and right. And I started thinking, you must be absolutely insane. How can you be in this position if you're saying that? You got to go to a psych doctor and have your brains checked if you think that the competition is bad for business, okay? And this is exactly what they were saying. Well, 14 months later, most companies have left, and guess how many local companies were founded and started producing wireless Russian products? Just about zilch. Because everything is about common sense, not gonna happen. Instead, Russian oligarchs, Russian KGB generals, Russian, high-ranked politicians have been trying to tear apart the assets that the Western companies left. The factories, trying to buy them, trying to seize them, trying to steal them and everything, And this is what they have done. To me, I understood at the very beginning, on the day one. To everyone else, it was confusion, there was anger, there was, I guess there was acceptance. And then later, now fewer Western products are present in Russia, and the ones are present, they're brought not directly to Russia, not imported to Russia, but they brought from China, from Kazakhstan, from Uzbekistan, and they cost an arm and a leg. And it's, if you order something, it really takes a long time. So right now they're just feeling sad. Most people feeling sad. I My personal attitude is I understand that this is the price you gotta pay. One of the prices that you're gonna pay for invading Ukraine. That's all. Mark Bramlett. Well, guess what? Fall is gonna be right here. We just we were celebrating New Year just like yesterday, and it is already June, almost June. So fall is going to be here in no time. I'm looking for the questions or comments in caps or with Inside Russia highlighted in orange. Diana Smith, I'm going to have to argue with you about the cannibals again. My daughter insists the cannibals are very rare. I have seen accounts of just one in recent years. Well, guess what? I don't know if they made it up in Wagner, but they were actually going around and bragging, oh, we have cannibals. So perhaps they wanted Ukrainians to fear them. I don't know, but this is what they're saying. The cannibals are very rare. I agree with you. There have just been, well, a few cases, not just one, but few cases. But this is what ЧВК Wagner were saying back in, my bet is either July or August of last year. So there's not really much to argue about. KG1, do any of the ethnic groups in Russia show greater aggression than the rest? And are there any grievance between them? More aggression usually comes from people in the Caucasus, but it's due to their historic background. Okay, there's nothing. It's not because they're bad people. It's because the way they are, the culture, the history, they're hot-blooded, so to speak. They have shorter fuses. And the ones from up north are different. They have longer fuses, and that's pretty much it. The Caucasus consists of many, many, many different nationalities, and they're small, and they're very dense. Okay, and they always had wars for hundreds and hundreds of years. They had wars between each other, and then they still carry on some hostility, not hostility, but unfriendliness. Let's put it this way. Some of them, but nothing extraordinary. If you go to Caucasus, you'll be fine. People are people. I wanted to say some Brad's Catanella. Dave Strains. Taco Lover, howdy, long time no see. Hey buddy, good to see you. Likewise. How about some live walks and food reviews again? Hey, tomorrow, you're just in time. Tomorrow, it's not going to be a walk, but it's going to be a live stream about how to make pilaf and how to eat it. A pilaf party. Please come tomorrow. Tashkent at its finest. If you ask anyone what Tashkent in Uzbekistan is known for, chances are 80% of people will tell you pilaf. Uzbek pilaf is the best, and this is where I'm taking you tomorrow. One of the best places that they make the tastiest pilaf. The Beshkazan, the center of pilaf, Uzbek pilaf, that's how it's called. Everything is set up. I went on location, I scouted, I talked to the managers. There will be welcoming us tomorrow. They will dress me in a white uniform. They will let me inside. I'll, stream inside everything. So it's gonna be good. I miss your videos from Rostov-on-Don. I personally miss my videos from Rostov-on-Don. I miss living in Rostov-on-Don right now. I miss my house. I miss my family. I miss my aunts, uncles, miss people I know, my friends. I miss everything. But I'm, not much I can say. Got local tacos near you now. Got plenty of pilaf and some sub, but not single taco. I'm sorry. Got a French restaurant called Le Paul. Jason Carney, thank you so much for gifting membership to 5 people. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Jay Adams, if I go to Russia, that will never happen. Understood. Wanda Pease, inside Russia, watched the questioner asked what they liked about Russia. They said freedom. Watched a questioner asking what they liked about Russia. Who's the questioner? I don't understand. I'm sorry. Who said they had freedom? Del Carmen Tejada, thank you so much for your support. No message, but this message is pretty strong. I think I missed a couple super chats. Let me go back and see them. Vivek Kumar, what do you think when it's going to be over finally? This question is asked in every single stream. Let me get back to it in a couple minutes. Not seeing any super chats. When it's gonna be over? I don't know. There's a crossroads right now. We are standing at a crossroads. Depends on which road we choose. That's gonna end whether sooner or later, and in a different way from Russia. We can go the way that will end the bloodshed soon and put Russia into the right direction. We can go into a very long way on a very long path that will take Russia nowhere. Even if Putin, is replaced by someone, and most likely he will be in foreseeable future, then I don't know which path Russia will take. And depending on that decision, we can say when it's going to be over. Artist Pope, how about your visa resident permit in Uzbekistan? How it looks for you? Do you need to come back to Russia to apply for a new visa or permit? How do you deal with it? Greetings from Riga. Artist Pope, thank you so much. Greetings. I do not need a visa. I can stay in Uzbekistan without a visa permanently, indefinitely. I do not need to apply for resident permit. Actually, it's really hard to get a resident permit for a foreigner, including for Russian. You have to buy property for over $300,000, so you have to marry a citizen, or you have to become, well, there are certain conditions, become a resident of a certain IT park and things like that. So, but all in all, it's not easy, but, I'm fine. Wayne Gwynn, I think KFC is still in Russia. You are wrong. KFC has left Russia. All KFC restaurants have been rebranded into Rostix. That's what they were before KFC came in. It was basically Russian knockoff. knockoff KFC founded in the 90s, and it was called Rostix. The guy who opened the first restaurant, his name was Rostik. So KFC came in late 2000s, 2005 or 2006, and it bought Rostix, and it rebranded all the restaurants made at KFC. Now they did the reverse. You see, in Russia it's regress. They're regressing. They're going back in the past. From KFC, it's back to Rostix. And same as McDonald's, quality will suffer. It will be different food. It will be different everything, different service, different quality standards. Back to the past. Hang on. There and back again. Blackad, I second you. Jason Carney, thanks for the gifts. Thank you so much for your support and the gifts. I think Sam K just had hacked your account. No kidding. Pizza Man, do you think Russia will ever change? Yes, it will. 100 years, 200 years, I don't know. It will, but it's gonna take a long, long time. Because nothing in this world lasts forever. Kaltenberg says, Russian military is a meds. I agree with you. It's certainly the meds. Yes, and they also need the meds. Lang WA, I love jambalaya rice combination of dish in Louisiana. That's good. Natasha, not to me. Vivek Kumar, pilaf is rice pilau we have in India as well. It's similar. Well, it's different from Uzbek pilaf then. Robert Webb, don't worry about it. You know, your presence here is already good enough. So there was a question about Vivek Kumar. Did I answer that or not? Matt Blazer 89, your Rostov apartment was super nice. Lovely furniture. My Rostov house. House in Rostov is absolutely fantastic. It's probably the best house I've seen. I did streams, I did videos from the house. It's out there. It's just, I miss it. I miss it so much. There you go. I answered the question of Vivek when it's over. Linda, what is pilaf? Well, please come back tomorrow for the live stream and you will find out. That's a Uzbek dish. Basically, pilaf is rice boiled in fat with meat and with vegetables. It's just incredibly fantastic, you know. Lorna, did anyone call me a liar? That's interesting. Hey, I wanna see that. What do you think about the resumed film? Not sure what you mean, Lawrence. Kaltenberg here in California, we had a doner party. Well, that's close enough. It's doner is Turkish. What time is the peel-off stream tomorrow? Janice Burgess, 6 a.m. New York time. This is the best, not the best, but the only time available. I came to see the peel-off people. They cannot do that earlier because it's going to be packed and we're going to hurt the business. And they cannot do it later because peel-off is not kind of dish that is cooked, after afternoon. Everyone has it for lunch. It's just too heavy to eat for, at night. And so this never for dinner. Artist Pope, thank you so much. Fantastic to hear you. Famous Maynard, as we approached, let's show appreciation for K in the mods with thank you so much, Famous Maynard. Say hello to Maine from me. The backyard in Rostov was really nice too. Oh yes, it was. It was indeed. It's the best place in the world for me, Gone, gone, gone. Andy V did take Germany long to recover and be trusted by the world, and look what they did. I give Germany as example all the time. I think Germany is a beacon of light for the entire world and for Russia, definitely. Just to show what humanity can do, what humans can do, how they can recover from such a when they fall lowest of the low, and then they can come back on top again. I really admire Germans for that. Lindsay, you are making me hungry, all this talk of food. Wait until tomorrow. And the last question I'm going to take is, could you see Belarus making 100% degree turn on Russia if Lukashenko were to die? Opposition leader Eva coming back. Any idea on the sentiment there on their alliance with Russia? All right. Good question. I know well, at least I have my opinion on that. Belarus is controlled by Lukashenko, but not really. It's controlled by Russia now. Lukashenko lost his fight 2 years ago when the opposition was very strong and it flooded the streets, and it was make it or break it for a moment for Lukashenko. And he went to Putin, he begged for help. And that was it. Putin provided help. Russian police came, Russian propaganda came, there was a huge inflow of Russian officials into Belarus, and they crushed the opposition. But Lukashenko became a puppet. He does what Putin tells him to do. Putin says jump, Lukashenko asks how high, that type of thing. Right now, Putin's plans is to integrate Belarus into Russia, become a Russian state. I think it doesn't matter. Well, Lukashenko is gone, it's even better for Putin. But people of Belarus, they don't like that. They don't want that. And they don't want to become their independent country, and they should stay that way. I think it would be very wrong for Russia to interfere and to grab Belarus, But hey, look what Russia has done in the past. So there will be a stand between the Belarusians defending the motherland and the Russian government. Not the Russian people, but the Russian government. There will be a stand. What is the result of the stand? That I have no clue. Okay, folks. Um, ML Benson, not today, not right now. I'm done with the stream. Caucasus is a completely different topic, very complicated one. Perhaps in the future. Folks, thank you so much for another great week. Thank you for 5 streams, giving me a chance and coming back and listening and participating in the live stream chat discussions. And thank you so very much. Let's finish the stream with a prayer as usual. I would like to ask everyone to join me. Thank you. Dear Father, Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for putting food on our tables and roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us, for the people who we love and who love us. We are so grateful and thankful for everything you have done. Thank you. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful and raise them in the way that when they grow up and become adults, they will make this place a better world. They will do better than we have done. Please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Reach out and touch the hearts and souls of people who are responsible for making decisions, starting the bloodshed, and who can end the bloodshed. Thaw their hearts, make them human again, fill them with emotions, so they make the decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected. Please answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. Send every single Ukrainian an angel, so the angels keep people out of harm's way. Help my country, Russia, by sending your strongest angels with sharpest swords led by Saint Michael to come down to this earth and get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country. Please, make it run by the angels, make it right, make it peaceful, make it respected, and make it forgiven, please. Help those who are traveling, send them safe travels. Those who are seeking for asylum, send help and good people their way. Please help the hungry, the jobless, the homeless, the sick, the ones who are losing faith, the depressed, the ones with low self-esteem. Shine your heavenly light upon those people and send love to them. Fill their hearts with love, so they feel good about themselves again. They will stand up and have a chance at good life and happiness again. Please send them what they need to become happy. Dear Lord, please help everyone who is suffering in Ukraine due to Russian strikes, due to tragedies that happen to them. Please provide the help, kind of help that these people need. Please give all of us peaceful skies above our heads, regardless who we are and regardless what we have done. Please forgive our sins. Dear Lord, I'd like to ask you for pregnant women who are deciding whether to keep their babies or not, reach out and talk to them so they make the right decision. Each one of them makes a right decision, makes a right choice. Also, would like to ask for all single mothers out there raising kids by themselves. Please support them, send them your love, and send Angel to every one of them to help out. Thank you so much for bringing us into this community, allowing us to come together every single day. Thank you for all these people that gather and converse. Thank you for allowing us to pray together. Please help everyone who's praying along with me or just watching us pray. Answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish come true. Dear Lord, thank you so much. I would like to ask for a few people who need your help. They are Mario, who was shot but survived. Please send recovery. Margaret, Linda Trombley, RT, Per, Sarah Stokes, Rod, Sandra's husband, Greg, Jim and Shirley Hall, Delaney and her two daughters, Ann Larson, family and daughter Hannah, Florentina, Caroline Rydnor, Patty L., Max family, Sherry Morin, CKOC, Brian Wilkes, Amir's Uncle Dickie, Liz Dumbrell, Liz Dumbrell's grandparents, Ripted, Matthias, daughter of Aspen English, Ruth, Paul, Susan, Alona and her boys, Darla, Bib, Rudy Kaisley, Santa's Whiskey, White Lightning, George Ruberty, Dave Strains, Pam, Wayne, Shirley, Debbie, Jen Allen, Finola, Lars Henrik and Lars Henrik's mother, Amanda Rydnor and her roommate, the Highwayman, Essie from the Scottish Isles, Outlander and family, Choriz and family, David Porter and family, and everyone who is from Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Susan Marshall, Beulah, Lazarus, Boss Salmon, Alvin, Alvin's sister, Teresa D., Marsha, Tucker's dad, please have his soul rest in peace, Garcia Castellanos, Terry Carter, Joe and Lee McMahon, Metta Spencer, Deanna and her family, Bree's friend, Caroline, Albina Fell, Michael Yukon, Joel, Live, Karine Vasseur, Pamela J., Daniel 9, Lindsay, Larry, Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Svetlana, Michael Milkevitz, Marlene, Paul Binns, Richard, Mallory M., Dirk Misler, Linda, Terry, Hannah and her children, Richard Burris, Angelica at Life, and Randolph, Barb, Scan family's grandson, Harry's family, Verlinda's niece, Ian James, Priscilla, Michelin, King Nero, Gaby Hyman, Deborah, Lisa's son, Jade Kaltenberg, Brittany S., Allison Dave Moyers, Maureen M. and her sister, Mr. Hanson, Heidi, Bob, Matt, Tony, Ashley and family, Mr. Dean Spooner and his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church, Lisa Kumrian, Jacob, Adam Oliver, Amy, Treasure, Grace Philosophy. Please send her recovery, help her family and her wonderful grandchildren, Kyle's wife, Maggie, Vladislav and Sergey, Susie Myler, Gina Wayfarer, AMC paramedic Liz, Karen from Maine, Lori Miles' husband, Sherry, Layla, Philip's mother, Thomas Fall, and I'd like to ask for special children, their Cadence, Coulter, Maverick, Sebastian, Theo, Madi, Karin Vasseur-Nice, and Ansley. Please send them recovery and send strength to their families. Also would like to ask for all children from Ukraine and that have been affected, and also from Russia. Thank you so much, dear God. Thank you. Amen. My friends, thank you so much for coming and giving me a chance today. Thank you for praying with me. You are absolutely awesome. You rock. I invite you to tomorrow, the stream for Pilaf, and after that there will be a private stream for sponsors and patrons as usual. Just watch for the announcement. And before I go, I would like to again say that you're awesome and you rock, and invite to say along with me my usual Carthago delenda est.